Hello Team Ropers, I'm Chris Williams and I'm here with the RopeMetrics crew. We wanted to put a video together to answer some questions that we've been getting at recent team roping events, also coming across social media, text and phone calls, hopefully to answer some questions that you may have as well. Again, I'm Chris Williams. I've got a technology background, television production.
I'm Lloyd South, VIP and 40 plus team roping owner.
I'm Clay Dean, a team roper and a product owner of RopeMetrics. I helped get the team together of Jonathan Williams, Chris Williams, and Ryan Strutton. I helped teach the education and background of team roping and helped design the operating system, the classification system, and the app.
I'm Jonathan Williams. I'm a developer of RopeMetrics software. I have a background in technology with numerous tech companies in gaming and social media and VR, all things technology.
So one question we've been asked is, what is RopeMetrics and how did it come about? So Lloyd, can you tell us a little bit about RopeMetrics?
RopeMetrics was a vision that I had approximately 3 years ago. We started having the VIP ropings, and we were going to rope for 2 years, and in our business plan we incorporated a classification system into RopeMetrics because we haven't been happy with the classification system the way it worked. Clay and I spent about 6 months together roping, and I shared my vision with him, and Clay went out and to find somebody that could do this, and he had some friends from his hometown, which was Chris, Jonathan, and Ryan, and he couldn't have picked a better group to do that. Ryan is all technology as far as social media. Jonathan's the whiz that made all this happen. Jonathan's amazing. This system, anything that we get into, if something's not working properly, he can fix it in 5 minutes, where in the past it took 6 months to get stuff done if you had something that wasn't working the way that you wanted it to.
While living with Lloyd and riding horses every day, we had multiple conversations about a new classification system and what the ropers needed. Multiple things that we talked about was transparency behind the system. When you get raised or you get lowered, why did you get raised or why did you get lowered? And some things that we talked about, the problems that we have seen is the time it takes to win a roping. For example, at the U.S. Finals or the World Series Finals in a number 10-point roping, it has taken 29 to 30 seconds on forward to win both of those ropings. Or to place in the top 5, you have to be super fast. Well, there's a lot of people when you're going out and about watching ropings, as much as Lloyd goes, and you see these 4s and these 6s roping together in a 10-point roping, you realize these guys don't have a chance at winning. And why do they not have a chance at winning? And one thing that we feel like that we can do better with RopeMetrics is create a system that is more into detail, that breaks down the run in more areas and keeps more data so we know why or why not you belong where you belong. So at that time is when I went and met with Chris Williams, who introduced me to his brother Jonathan. Chris and Jonathan are from my hometown. They both come from a technology background. I shared Lloyd and I's plan with RopeMetrics, and from that point we have created a software and an app that is impeccable. One of the things that I shared with Jonathan and Chris when I met with them about RopeMetrics was Lloyd and I's vision and plan on creating a better classification system. What this entailed was more detailed data, such as who broke the barrier, who caught, who missed, who got the penalty, such as rope a leg, and the split times, as well as the average over to all times. Why this is important is so we can tell you at the end of a roping where you belong and why you belong there, based on these different variables.
When Clay approached my brother and I, we sat down in the end of May, I think it was the last week of May, and we had a lunch in Wills Point and talked about roping, and Clay started his education process with me. I asked a lot of questions, and soon after we first met, we actually went to a roping, I think it was Saturday, following Saturday in Glen Rose. We met 4 times that week, but that first roping was my first experience with roping, team roping in general. It was surprising to me to see how thriving the community of team ropers were. But there were a few things that we noticed, Ryan and I and even Chris, when we first went there, there was a lot of areas that had been neglected about team roping. One thing we saw was that a lot of the wives or people that weren't roping were sitting on their phones and they were, on Facebook scrolling, or they were reading a book, or they were doing Sudoku. They weren't even engaged with what was going on. And as a sport, to keep it healthy, I think you have to engage your spectators. It gets interest up, it brings new ropers in. And so that's one of the areas we wanted to address with the app, keeping in live updates. There's a lot of cool features in there that will keep you entertained and in the loop with the ropers and the flow of the roping.
So explain to us about split times. That's a big question that we're getting from everybody. What's split times and how are you tracking split times?
So the way split times works is the flagger will be carrying the flag down the pin by his side. And what he will do is when the steer is in tow and legal to rope, he will raise the flag, and this will split the time. It's kind of like a lap time on a stopwatch. The time is still running, and we're just stopping at that point so we know what the header is doing.
How long it took him to make the steer legal to catch?
Correct.
Right.
And then when the run is complete, we'll take the heeler split time from the header split time to the complete of the run to see how fast the heeler is shutting down the run.
The next question that we've been asked quite often is more information about our classification system. What are the numbers going to be like? How long is it going to take before I get a number, and so on and so forth. So we'd like to address some of those questions as well and try to fill you in.
Yeah, so the classification system, what we want to do, and Lloyd has made this comment multiple times, how he wants to leave the sport of team roping better than how he found it. So the number one thing that Lloyd and I talked about when we were wanting to create a classification system that set us apart and gave us a competitive advantage over other classification systems is creating a classification system that is 100% computer driven, and we want to be 100% transparent with that data. We want to take people's personal opinions out of it and somebody that's sitting behind a desk going, yes, you can be raised, or no, you can't be raised based on whatever reasons. And so teaming up with Jonathan and Chris is where Jonathan's background of gaming comes in, because he sees competitive gaming and how people's rankings fluctuate based on different variables.
Yeah, a lot of my experience even before I got into business, I was an avid gamer, played a lot of games, played a lot of competitive games. I actually went semi-pro in a game back in 2008, so I'm very competitive. One thing you become familiar with is how you get ranked. A lot of these newer games have implemented their own ELO systems, which I think is based on chess, how they rank chess players. But the factors that are involved in that, there's many factors. There's not one person saying like, oh, I like this guy, I'm gonna keep him low so that he can win more. It's based on the data. It compares multiple factors against each other to find outliers to increase or to raise or lower people based on their performance. And one thing too that's really cool is that we account for the organization that's putting on a roping, the producer that's putting on the roping, that's actually running the roping, the arena they're in, the setup they have, and the cattle supplier or leasee, I guess, that they're getting the cattle from. So we account for all those factors just because, different people, different ropers or producers have setups that vary. Even within 40 plus, Lloyd has a setup and Chan Peters has a setup that's slightly different. And in Chan Peters, you're generally faster. Your times come out faster than they do if you went and roped at Lloyd's. They have different cattle, different arena.
Or vice versa.
Yeah. And we don't want to reclassify you just because you're fast at Chan's ropings and you're not as fast at Lloyd's. We're going to look at the flow of the roping and how the ropers are roping at that event, and then identify where the median of the roping is, who's outlying, who's too fast, who's too slow, and we'll reclassify you based on that.
From when we started the system, the previous systems are based on riding your horse, and we want to make our system based on roping. So our classification, we're going to use the whole scale of the roping classification from 1 to 9 headers, 1 to 10 heaters, with 0.5s in between.
One thing that we've noticed is we collected data at the 40 plus finals in November, and in the 10-point roping, for example, we noticed that there's a lot of straight number 4 headers that are basically undernumbered. When we started collecting split times and catch percentage and breakouts and percent getting a penalty, we realized that, okay, there's so many people in number 4 category that are undernumbered that they brought those averages up to equivalent with 5s. They even skipped the 4 elites. So one way that we are going to fix that problem is the system is going to take those 4s that are undernumbered or that should be 5s and leave them at 4s, and who the people who believe that they are true fours right now are going to drop down to threes or 3.5s. And then also we'll take those fives that are at the bottom of that bracket and drop them down to equivalent with those fours to kind of spread out the compression and to create a more even playing field.
So another question that we have been asked and something that we've talked about with RopeMetrics is having or producers putting on an 11.5 roping. What's different about that than the current 11 roping that we see put on at different events?
We're just calling the roping what it is. Previously, with the elite system, they have an 11 roping and a 6 elite and a 6 can rope together in the 12. So basically that's a 12.5 roping. And we're just calling the ropings what they are. Our system is instead of elite, you're a 0.5. So a 11.5 roping would be a 6.5 and a straight 5. And the reason that we're doing that, at some point in time, we may want to have a 12 roping, and you're going to have to add up to a 12, not a 12.5.
So another question that we've been asked is, how soon will I get my classification number? If I become a RopeMetrics member and I want to go into a roping, how am I going to know what I am? How fast will I get my number?
Yeah, good question. So when you become a member of RopeMetrics, we will take the baseline of your triad classification number. So if you're a 6.5 in triad, you will come into RopeMetrics as a 6.5. With this system, the way we collect our data, knowing who caught, who missed, and what your split times are, it takes approximately 30 runs to spit out where you belong. And what that 30 runs is for the header, it's 30 times he chases a steer, gates open, and he has the opportunity to throw his rope. And for a heeler, it's 30 times he gets to turn in on a steer, has the opportunity to throw his rope. That doesn't mean that when you hit 30 runs that it starts over a clean slate. It just takes up to 30 runs to know, hey, this is where you belong. This is what your abilities are. And beyond that is where it's going to go to. The more data we have on you, the more accurately it's going to put you in the category you belong.
Right. And if I'm going to get raised or lowered based on my performance, so let's say I maybe have a horse change, which makes it a little more difficult for me to rope, and I'm going to get lowered. Or let's say I've been practicing and I'm getting better. How fast is it going to raise or lower me? When am I going to know when I'm getting raised or lowered?
Right. So on Tuesdays, we will send out our notifications if you have been raised or if you have been lowered. If you get raised and reclassified, then you have 1 week from that Tuesday before it takes into effect. We want to maintain a consistency with everybody. It's not some are immediate, some you got 2 weeks, some you have a month. It's if you get notified that you've been raised on Tuesday, you have that weekend, and then the next Tuesday it takes into effect. Now if you get lowered, it's immediately. So that upcoming weekend, you can rope under your new number.
Another question we had posed to us actually while we were in Ada, Oklahoma was a roper came up to us. She was going to have some surgery. She was going to be out for a few months. So what if I've been away from team roping for a while or I have an injury, something happens where I'm out and I haven't roped in a long time? How's it going to work when I come back to rope again? What's my number going to be?
Yes, this is pretty common. You hear this a lot with people that, for whatever reason they get hurt or family matters, they're out of roping for a little while. And, let's say they left roping as a 6 header and they want to come back and they think that maybe they should be a 5 elite. So what that roper can do is he can call the producer, such as Lloyd, and say, hey, I haven't roped in so long, or I've been injured, and I think my abilities have gone down. Therefore, I think I should be a 5 elite. What can you do for me? Well, Lloyd, as a producer, can say, okay, you can come to this one event and rope this one weekend as a 5 elite under review. At the end of that weekend, we'll analyze the data, we'll look at it, and we'll compare it to everybody else that you roped against. And we'll put you in the category which you belong. If you truly are a 5 elite, from that point forward, you're a 5 elite, the computer takes care of the rest. If you're a 6, it'll put you at a 6. And from that point forward, the computer will take care of the rest. Now, what you cannot do is say, okay, well, I haven't roped in 8 months, but yet the VIP finals are coming up, so I want to rope under review. No, you have to go to another roping prior to the finals.
So another question that we've had posed to RopeMetrics, what happens if I go to roping and I draw a pup? And maybe I draw several, pups in a particular roping just because of the livestock at that roping. What's going to happen to my number just because of what I draw?
Right. So, the odds of drawing a pup, as we could say, across 30 runs isn't very high. One thing that our system can see is you go, well, I just drew 4 pups, that's why I won first place. Well, did you really draw a pup or did you blow the barrier out? We're collecting your barrier on every run.
Mm-hmm.
Then again, you're like, well, I didn't draw the pup, so-and-so drew the pup, I drew the 4 runners. Well, did you really draw 4 runners or were you 0.3 off the barrier? That's the beauty of our system, collecting every breakout time. On that topic is, let's say you do draw 4 good pups and you win that roping. Well, just because you won the roping doesn't necessarily you're going to get raised.
Yeah.
In our system, the way it's going to separate from other system is, let's take the 11-point roping for example. Let's say that 35 wins first place in that roping, and second place is 35, and third place is 35, fourth place is 36. Well, you're not going to get raised for winning that roping. Where this system is going to catch you is if you were 33. Now you were 2 seconds faster than the whole field.
Mm-hmm.
The system's going to go, whoa, wait a second, somebody might be wrong here. For example, the header split time might be faster than the majority, or the heeler split time might be faster. At that point, we'll know, was it the header or was it the heeler? And again, it's also just doing that one time, you're not going to be reclassified. You got to do it more than once before the computer's going to go, bam, you're getting raised.
Right. So it's going to base it on averages. It's not going to be, once or twice at a roping or even maybe a couple ropings. So
one thing that Jonathan writing the algorithms that it takes to be reclassified is you got to be hitting on all cylinders. It's not just, well, my catch percentage went down. Well, did your speed go down too, or did your percent of roping a leg go down? In that algorithm, there's multiple variables that go into effect. Well, to be raised or lower, you got to be pinging on just about the majority of them.
Let's talk about the RopeMetrics memberships.
Our membership for RopeMetrics, there's some different stages. We start out at a standard membership, which is $150, and that allows you to go rope. We classify you, and you get some basic stats with that membership. Also, from this point until the end of February, everybody is going to be able to see live updates through the app. You'll get to keep track of the roping. We're going to talk about that here in a minute, about the app. But after March 1st, you'll have to be a platinum member to receive all the benefits. Now, what a platinum is for $350, you get to see everything. You get to see all your stats. You get to see your split times, your breakout times, your catch percentage. Remember, we want to be 100% transparent, so we're going to give you your data. We're already collecting it anyhow, so we're going to put it right there at the palm of your hands. Also, we have a silver membership, which is for people that are 70 years or older, and all that is 50% off. So a standard membership would be $75, and then a platinum would be $175.
Also, with the platinum membership, you can write checks, reserve stalls. Another feature.
What if I'm a couple that ropes, and we got children that are going to come up to the process and begin roping too? What can I do with that?
So we have a family package that is $300. That is husband and a wife, and then children under 18. Also, if you want to upgrade to a platinum, it's $50 per person. So if you're a husband and a wife and you bought the family package, you both can upgrade to platinum, and it would be $400. The $300 plus $50 for the husband and $50 for the wife. Instead
of paying $350 a piece, which was $700, that's actually a little cheaper.
Right.
Okay. If I become a RopeMetrics member and I've got a RopeMetrics, classification number, card, whatever, what events can I rope at? What do I need to buy?
Right now, the only events you can rope at are the VIP and the 40-plus ropings. But we have producers wanting to come on board. We get calls all week about different ones wanting to come on board with the system.
With RopeMetrics, we basically have 3 parts to RopeMetrics. We have the operating system, we have the classification system, we have the app. So let's talk about the operating system and these parts here. How did we get to the point that we are now?
Operating system, Clay was instrumental with Jonathan on designing the layout, trying to make it a one-key, simple process. And Farron Lucero has been instrumental. He's one of the best announcers they are, and he's been instrumental in designing this to where it's simple to use, as well as Tammy Youngblood. She's invaluable. And Brittany Bell has used the system, has had a lot of great input, as well as Karen Evans, Kathy Cox, Ben Clements, Jody, Brandy Clements. They use the system. They had some great input on how to make it better.
Right.
One thing that we really wanted to do with this operating system from visiting with multiple secretaries and people who have used other systems in the past, you hear a lot of, well, they're not just the easiest to run, not just anybody can operate the system. So when we went to Jonathan and talked about how we wanted to design and create this operating system, we wanted to keep it simple to where virtually anybody could learn and use this system. One thing that we talked about when Jonathan and I was meeting was keeping everything condensed to just 2 or 3 pages, not a bunch of clicks, not a bunch of going in and out, different settings. So we have put settings on a page, we have put the secretary screen on a page, and the announcer screen on a page. So 3 pages and you got your whole system. Also, one thing that we talked about was when we're collecting this data, the time automatically comes in the computer and we just hit one key and give the result of what happened on the run, such as header miss, healer miss, healer roped a leg, or healer crossfired.
Yeah, on the announcer screen specifically, there was a lot of input necessary on different systems. So my background again was in gaming. We do gaming for 8-year-olds, 10-year-olds. So you've got to design stuff to be very simple, very easy to use, very easy to pick up. And so we designed this, or a lot of Clay's input aligned with my background. We made this system where you can press, as an announcer, the run ends, they stop the time, you announce the time, you press a key, the data's recorded, and it's down to the next run. They don't have to go in and type the time in, they don't have to type in penalties, it's all in there. We get the barriers, we get the breakout, all that data is just sent straight to the computer.
And so that also plays right into the app, because the app is all live data, just like the data that you're recording.
Mm-hmm.
So let's talk about the app itself. I mean, when I'm watching that app, what am I seeing?
Well, one thing that Lloyd and I had multiple conversations about was how could we increase the value of a premium membership. So one thing we really talked about was an app. Everybody has a smartphone pretty much, and people knows what apps are, whether you have an Android, whether you have an iPhone. And what we want to do is create an app where you can get live updates from your couch, or you can track your stats. So having somebody that really understands computers and gaming and could tie our operating system into an app was very important.
Yeah, I mean, it ties right into what I observed at the first roping I went to. Spectators weren't involved. You didn't know what the cutoff time was, what you needed to make first. You didn't know what the flow of the roping was. You couldn't be involved in the roping. You just stood up whenever your spouse or significant other just started roping. A lot of the feedback now that we've had an app out for a few months, we actually had a wife come over and say, "I love this app. It's the best thing I've ever had. It's great. There's one problem." And I perked up. I'm like, "What's the problem?" And she goes, "We need chargers. Our batteries are dying. We're just on the app the whole time." So I thought that was pretty good. But yeah, what happens on the app, we have a live updates feature that comes with your Platinum. We're also building in the ability, as a spectator, you don't rope, you just want to check the live updates. Well, you can pay a small fee to see that event, live updates, or you could pay a small subscription fee to see live updates all year round. But you can sit there and see, as soon as registration's closed, the schedule's generated. It's live on the internet. It comes right down to your app within seconds, and you can see all the team numbers, all the teams. And then when the announcer has a run come through, the flag goes up, they stop the time, she announces it. Within 5 seconds, you got it on your app. It comes right in, it says team updated, and all the data is there. You can click on it, see their split times, what their penalties were. I mean, it's great. And you can go and click top performers, see who's winning that round currently. You can see the cutoff times, time to make first. You can even go see what the example payouts would be at a certain point once they get to the short round.
Something else that we wanted to add on this app was, when you're at all these events, especially you see this from a producer standpoint, a lot of people will call and say, "Hey, what time's 12 going to start?" Or what time do I need to be there? And the beauty of the app is you can just be on your way and you can look at the app and say, "Hey, there's 15 teams left in round 1 of the 13, so I still got an hour or so." And you can also go on there and pre-enter, so you don't have to worry about getting there, and you can take your time when you do get there and saddle your horse and not be rushed.
What about running to the board? Find out what my run is. When the books close and the schedule's generated, the app has the ability to send you push notifications so you know what team you are or what teams you may be. That way you're not having to run, check the board, see when I go.
we're also adding a configurable setting where you can say as low as 5 runs till my run, or 10 or 15. I want to know when I'm up. So we'll send you a push notification when she's completed, or when the announcer's completed the team 10 teams before you, or 5, whatever, based on your setting. And also we've talked about doing the short round. Hey, we're 20 teams from the short round being done. So that way you can chill out, you can hang out, wait till it's your turn, and then come back and get, saddle up, get ready to go.
One other question that we received is about sharing data. Are we planning on, with RopeMetrics, sharing data with other classification systems?
At this point, no. Maybe in the future, if somebody collects data like we do and has the same data, we would be interested in sharing. But at this point in time, nobody does that, so we're not interested.
Yeah, we collect split times, we collect breakout times, we collect who caught, who missed, and at this time that we know nobody else does that. So anybody else's data they collect to us, means nothing to our algorithms.
Absolutely. So another question that we've had asked of us is, if I'm at a roping and I feel like I'm roping pretty quick, I feel like I'm roping fast and I'm catching like I'm supposed to, is this going to automatically raise me just because I'm roping better at that particular event?
No, really, that's the beauty of our system. Other systems base it on if you win money, you get raised. Ours takes a lot of factors into account. We're not only taking your speed, your split time average, we're taking in your catch percentage, your breakout time, your percentage of errors of breaking the barrier, of roping a leg, completing the course even. You may rope really, really fast in the first 3 rounds, and you get to short round and you choke. Why would you get raised for that if you can never complete the course? Another thing we take into account is if you're at a roping that's entered 6 times, entered 10 times, versus a roping that's entered once or twice, well, you're obviously going to perform at a higher caliber on your speed and be faster, push the envelope basically, whenever you have more entries, because you have more chances to win. Well, we expect your catch percentage to go down in that scenario. So we're taking a lot of factors into account. It's not just your speed, not just your catch percentage.
On that topic, we have a baseline of what we think should win the roping, and what you can think of is, imagine a sliding scale that goes back and forth based on the setup of the roping, whether it's soft or whether it's, a tougher roping. Mm-hmm. So like, for example, let's talk about an 11 roping. Our baseline time on a 4-seer average is 36. So if the setup falls under that category with the means and the ranges of the times that we collected from that roping, if 36 is the baseline for that roping, then we'll go based off of 36. Now, if the setup's a little bit softer and maybe the barrier's a little bit shorter or the cattle are soft and that scale slides down a little bit, and then now the times are going to be faster, well, just because you were 33 and 11 roping doesn't necessarily mean you're going to get raised, because that whole roping might have shifted and the softness or the toughness of that roping might have changed.
Right, right.
This was the perfect team for RopeMetrics after we met and after we talked and got this business started, because we all have an open mind and we all have the same goal in common. We want to make team roping better. Lloyd's talked about it multiple times how he wants to leave team roping better than when he got here. And so we all have the same thing. We want to make team roping better. Therefore, if you have any suggestions, any comments, anything you think we can make better, call us. Shoot us a text, or get a hold of us somehow, and we'll take your thoughts and input into consideration and see what we can do to make this sport better.
All right. Well, we hope this has been informational for you and answer some of the questions that you may have about RopeMetrics. If you'd like to contact us, the RopeMetrics phone number is 903-502-0499. We'll put that on the screen so you can see that again. You can also contact us or message us on Facebook, or go to our website, RopeMetrics.com. At the website, you can sign up to become a member, see our membership information there, and also see some more information on our mission statement and some of the things about RopeMetrics itself. We hope this has helped you out, and we look forward to seeing you at the next Team Roping event.